Hey everyone! Today we'll be changing the engine oil in my 1999 Acura RL. Stay tuned. The RL is due for an oil change, so we're going to go ahead and take care of that today. According to the service manual, the oil change interval is every 7,500 miles or 12 months under normal conditions and every 3,750 miles or 6 months under severe conditions. Here are the materials we'll need for this oil change. I have a Wix oil filter, part number 51334. I also have 5 quarts of Mobil 1 5W30 Advanced Full Synthetic Oil and an M14 drain plug washer. I personally prefer copper or aluminum washers myself. The setup for this oil change, the engine has been warmed slightly. I'm going to place the front end of the car on jack stands, so here's the front jack point. I like to place a block of plywood between the jack pad and the jack point to prevent the jack point from becoming marred and mangled over time. One of the cool things about putting this car up on jack stands is that Acura was kind enough to provide very tall pinch welds. To proceed with the oil change, I'm going to remove the oil filler cap so the oil flows out a little bit easier. Back under the car, I'm going to go ahead and remove the drain plug next. I've placed a metal pan on the floor to protect it, and you'll see in a bit why that's probably not a bad idea. I also have a plastic drain pan ready to catch the oil. To remove the drain plug, I'm using a 17mm ratcheting wrench. Oops. Just in case you missed it, that was oops. And I rarely spill oil, but I still always use a metal pan. While the oil is continuing to drain, I'm going to replace the crush washer. The washer is M14, and the flat side of the washer should face the head of the drain bolt. Before I install the drain plug, I'm going to clean up the area first. Then I'll screw in the drain plug until it makes contact with the engine. I'll then use a torque wrench to tighten the drain plug to 33 pound-feet. I've shifted the drain pan to the left so that it's below the oil filter. Then I'll crack the oil filter loose slightly. I can usually loosen the filter by hand, but it may be necessary to use a 65mm oil filter wrench if it's on really tight. After the initial rush of oil subsides, I'll proceed with removing the oil filter. Before I install the new oil filter, I'm going to clean up the engine with some paper towels. Then I'll apply some clean engine oil to the oil filter's gasket and spin it onto the engine. Once the filter makes contact with the engine, spin it clockwise another 7/8 of a turn or use a filter wrench to tighten it to 16 pound-feet. I stopped here quite a bit after the filter had already made contact with the engine, so I didn't have much further to go to properly seat it. Next, I'm going to add oil to the engine. 4.9 quarts are required when the oil filter is changed, and only 4.5 quarts are required when the oil filter is not changed. The service manual recommends changing the oil filter at every other oil change under normal conditions and at every oil change under severe conditions. After reinstalling the oil filler cap, the car was taken outside and allowed to warm up. I now have the car back in the garage on a fairly level surface, and I'm going to do one last check of the oil level. The level should lie somewhere between the 2 holes on the dipstick. And the oil level is almost at the top hole here, so we're good. Lastly, I'll check the floor for any oil leaks, and that's it.